Hello, everyone. This is Ex Bethelite. There seems to be an interesting discussion going on with regard to labeling Jehovah's Witnesses as an extremist group. Now, I agree with Russia's stance that it is extremist. Now, when you look at it from the side of those that feel it is not extremist, you have to wonder, why do they feel that way? One of the things that I've noticed online, on Facebook, I'm Marcus Vaughn on Facebook. Got a speeding car that just flew by there. I'm Marcus Vaughn on Facebook. Also in the comment section here on YouTube, some of the people are saying that ISIS is extremist. Jehovah's Witnesses are not like ISIS, therefore they're not extremists. I believe that that is an incorrect assumption there. ISIS, let's discuss this. ISIS is a terrorist group. Jehovah's Witnesses have been labeled an extremist group. That is different. I understand there's some people that think, oh, it's the same thing. No, it's a huge difference. Let's discuss the difference. A terrorist group such as ISIS involves itself in acts of terror. That is why it is called a terrorist group. An extremist group such as the Jehovah's Witness has extremist beliefs, teachings, or views. They are extremist. That's different. They're not terrorists because Jehovah's Witnesses, from my understanding, as far as I know, do not involve themselves in acts of terror. And my view, this is not even up for discussion, that there's no difference between something that has extremist views and something that involves itself in acts of terror. That's the difference between night and day. I don't know what else there is to discuss on that topic. People are saying Jehovah's Witnesses have not reached the level of ISIS, then they're not extremists. ISIS has reached the level of a terrorist group. They're terrorists because they do acts of terror, such as using explosives to harm people. That is an act of terror. That is not an extremist view. That is an act of terror at that point. You can have an extremist view without strapping on a bomb. ISIS is a terrorist group. Jehovah's Witnesses, no one from my understanding ever said that they were a terrorist group. What was said is that Jehovah's Witnesses are an extremist group. They have extremist views. Now, let's discuss this label of Jehovah's Witnesses as extremist. I think the fact that in trying to defend the Jehovah's Witnesses against the label of extremist, people had to go all the way outside of Christianity in order to find a group that is worse. In Christianity, there are thousands of denominations. There's more, I don't even know all the denominations. There's more denominations than you can count. So in that large number of Christian groups, or groups that call themselves Christian, if you can't find nobody that's worse or more extreme than Jehovah's Witnesses, in the sense that they do more damage to people in their lives and in their families, then it's extremist. You can't find nobody worse. You had to jump clear all the way over to Islam and ISIS. You had to find the worst group, or one of the worst groups in a whole nother religion. You jumped outside of Christianity. I'm talking modern Christianity. I don't mean let's go back before the Jehovah's Witnesses even existed to try to find somebody worse. I think some people have the mindset of, oh, I like the Jehovah's Witnesses, so I want to believe it, so I'll come up with any irrational thing to try to defend them. If you in 1,000 groups cannot find one, someone said, well, by the definition of extremists, then the Mormons would be extreme. Stop it. Do you know anything about the Mormons? The Mormons don't prevent anyone from military service being. They had someone that was a Mormon that was running for president at one point. The Mormons aren't trying to separate people from the government to the point that they can't be involved in it at all. The Mormons aren't keeping people from, if a Mormon visits another church or goes to a wedding in another church or a funeral at another church, I seriously doubt that they're shunned from their entire, that they're disciplined by their church. I've never heard of that happening. The Mormons aren't kept from accepting medical treatment, which results in the death of who knows how many people. From my understanding, the Mormons don't have a suicide rate like the Jehovah's Witnesses do because of the shunning and everything. I mean, the Mormons are viewed as a cult probably more so because of their teaching from a different book, from the Book of Mormon. And their founder, Joseph Smith, and some of the stories with regards to that. The modern Mormon church, I'm not talking about the fundamentalist LDS. The modern Mormon church does not do a fraction of the damage to people's lives as the Jehovah's Witnesses do. Stop it. You can't even find anybody that does more damage to people than the Jehovah's Witnesses. Then it's extremist. That's what extreme is. There was a good point that was made about comparing the Jehovah's Witnesses to Christian groups, or groups that call themselves Christian. And some of those groups were, I believe there was a People's Temple with Jim Jones, and the Branch Davidians with David Koresh. I'll even throw in Heaven's Gate, because the leader of Heaven's Gate, I believe, taught that he was Jesus Christ. So let's put that in there as an extremist group. Now, did any of these groups do the same level of damage that the Jehovah's Witnesses do? Let's start off with the People's Temple, and they were building an establishment outside of society. And I believe that the government started to look into things, and from my understanding, Jim Jones, he started to get to the point where no one's leaving this establishment. Everybody's going to die before they leave this establishment. The damage toll was unheard of. It was horrible. I mean, you just had a mass suicide. Now, some of the people were shot. Everyone, I don't believe, committed suicide. Some of the people were shot. The death toll was horrible. You compare that to the damage that has been done over 100 years or so of people not being able to accept medical treatment. And I'm not just talking about the people that have died from it, the people who have been adversely affected the rest of their lives, that have had limbs cut off. They may not have died by not having a blood transfusion, but they had limbs cut off. They don't have an arm anymore because of that teaching from that specific religion that has done damage to that person. Let's talk about what happened with Jim Jones is over. I'm sure the families have grieved. It's not doing any more damage. The Jehovah's Witness, this is a continuous thing. Families have been totally destroyed and continue to be totally destroyed. There are people that are now separated, and this is an act of a extremist religious group. This is not in comparison to just random families that don't get along, that have nothing to do with an extremist group. They're just bad families. We're talking about the effects of a group that is extremist and the damage that is done. And is there any group that has done the same amount of damage? You also have to get into the education issue. Jehovah's Witnesses that did not, get any higher education because they thought that, Armageddon was around the corner. That's a little bit of an extreme position to take, isn't it? That would be extremist. Well, the damage that has been done to that person, and unless they're in a position to go back to school and make up for some of that time, the damage is done. Like this person now can only work so many places or whatever for the rest of their lives, maybe. I mean, the damage has been done. The suicides, the families that have been destroyed, the people that have died. In Korea, these people aren't allowed military service, so they have to go to prison. I mean, and then after you come out of prison, you can't find a job. The damage that has been done to that person is amazing, and this is definitely more damage than what the People's Temple and Jim Jones caused. The death toll, we don't even know what the death toll is totally, because we don't even know what the death toll is. But the damage is continuous, and it is worse than the People's Temple. And the People's Temple is extremist. David Koresh, the guy that thought he was Jesus, and his compound was raided. And I don't know if everyone died, but a lot of people died in that. That's over. I think there probably are still Branch Davidians, but they're not into any of that anymore. So the damage is done. That was a one-time event. It was horrible. It was horrific. It was a one-time event. The death toll has a start and a finish. With the Jehovah's Witnesses, the death toll has no finish. It's still continuing. People are still committing suicide. They don't have any family or friends because of the church intentionally shunning them. This is not, the church, I'm sorry, calling them a church. The Jehovah's Witnesses know when they're shunning people, that they're isolating them from family, from friends, from everyone they know. They know full well what they're doing to that person. So they're full well responsible if that person commits suicide. That's ongoing. The destroyed families, that's ongoing. All this stuff is ongoing with the Jehovah's Witnesses. And it's extremist. It is extremist. The Heaven's Gate, another group where a guy thought he was Jesus, and he wanted to beam everyone up to a spaceship. Well, to do that, you have to commit suicide, essentially, and leave your earthly body, and then you were supposedly beamed up to a spaceship. The leader committed suicide with everybody else, from my understanding. They ate some kind of pudding with strychnine or something in there, and they all were dead. I'm guessing that, what was it, maybe like 40 or something people that died in that. That group was not very large, and the damage toll, the death toll, does not total the amount of the death toll that Jehovah's Witnesses have because of extremist beliefs. So I don't even know why this is a discussion. If you can't post, go ahead and post down there the name of the Christian religion. We don't have to go outside of Christianity to try to find somebody. Because if you have to do that, then it's extremist. You had to go that far, then it's extremist. Post the name of the church. Post the name of the group. Scientology, I don't even think that's Christian. You could try to compare them. There go that train again. You can try to compare them to Scientology, and you could do that. And I think that the Jehovah's Witnesses do more damage than Scientology. Scientology has a shunning, but I don't know about the medical practices and telling people not to get higher education and their world headquarters using people and then just kicking them out. Like the number of different issues that arise, the pedophilia. I have not heard of a major pedophilia problem where a whole country has got to have a royal commission about it. The Australian Royal Commission. This is unbelievable. That we can't even think of a religious group that's worse than the Jehovah's Witnesses without having to go all the way to the extreme of finding a terrorist group. Well, they're better than a terrorist group, so they should be okay, right? No, they're extremists. So, yeah, go ahead and comment down below. I got all my stuff here in the back ready for work and whatnot. Comment down below. Let me know what you come up with. Search. Try to find somebody worse than the Jehovah's Witnesses that is a Christian religion. Let's not try to go outside of the whole religion. And let's not go into, terrorist. Find someone that is more extreme and extremist in the same category. We want to go outside of the whole category. So this is ex-Bethelite signing out.